officials, the Hispanic National Bar Association, and the National Hispanic Center for Advanced Studies and Policy Analysis, and the Hispanic American Almanac. Their position is that she's the first Hispanic. However, there's a minority view that believe that Justice Benjamin Cardoso was the first Hispanic, which I'll address based on his Iberian ancestry. Now, this minority, once again, Cardoso was the first justice known to have non-Northern European ancestry. And if you look in the dictionary Latino Civil Rights History, they list Cardoso as the first Hispanic named to the Supreme Court of the United States. But once again, there's no conclusive proof establishing Cardoso's family roots in Portugal. And Justice Cardoso, once again, he was part Jewish and part Iberian, but he followed his Jewish religion and upbringing. As far as Italian justice is concerned, Justice Antolin Scalia was appointed in 1986 as the first Italian justice, and Justice Samuel Alito became the second in year 2006. As far as other ethnic groups to the Supreme Court, there haven't been any American Indians or Asians appointed to the United States Supreme Court. Now, as far as gender is concerned, all United States Supreme Court justices were men up until the appointment of Sandra Day O'Connor by President Ronald Reagan in 1981. Ruth Bader Ginsburg became the second woman on the court appointed by Bill Clinton. Then Sonia Sotomayor, as you know, is the third. Now, Harriet Miers, she was nominated, if you remember Harriet Miers, but she withdrew her nomination after a controversy broke out over her. As far as marital status is concerned and sexual orientation, all but a few of the Supreme Court justices have been married, and there's only been a few bachelors, and they were Justice Frank Murphy, Justice Benjamin Cardoso, and also Justice James McReynolds, and Justice David Souter. And Sonia Sotomayor is the only unmarried woman, as she was divorced in 1983. As far as sexual orientation is concerned, there has not been any gay Supreme Court justices, even though there's been some rumors about the bachelors, but there hasn't been any conclusive proof. As far as religion is concerned, I thought this was a very interesting area as far as religion. As you know, the majority of the United States Supreme Court justices have been Protestants, or of the Protestant religion. And now, Justice Paul Stevens is the only Protestant currently serving on the court. As far as Roman Catholic justice is concerned, which is interesting, the first Roman Catholic justice was Roger B. Taney, who was appointed Chief Justice in 1836 by President Andrew Jackson, I should say. And then Justice John Roberts, he became the third Catholic Chief Justice and the fourth Catholic to sit on the court. And then Samuel Alito became the fifth Catholic on the court. And then with this appointment, which didn't make a lot of news, this was the first time in United States history that the court had a Catholic majority. Now, with the appointment of Justice Sonia Sotomayor, she's become the sixth Catholic to be appointed to the court. So it's going to be interesting, some of the cases that will come before the justices, particularly the abortion issue. Will religion have some effect on future decision? Now, the Jewish justices, Louis Brandeis was the first Jewish justice appointed in 1916, and in 1932, Justice Benjamin Cardoso became the second. And two Jewish justices are currently serving on the court. That's Ruth Bader Ginsburg and also Stephen Breyer. Other religious groups, there have not been any Mormons, Pentecostals, Muslims, Buddhists, and members of the Orthodox Church serving on the court. And there haven't been any atheists serving on the court. As far as age is concerned, once again, there's no age limitation for the Supreme Court justice as set forth in the United States Constitution. I thought that was interesting. The youngest justice ever appointed was Justice Joseph Story, who was 32 years old, and this occurred in 1812. The oldest justice that was appointed was Charles Evan Hughes, who was 67 at the time of his appointment. Now that with medical advances, people are living longer than they have in the past. There's been some issues that have been surfacing, whether, as you know, Supreme Court justices appointed for life. But there are some issues that are rising. Should the justices be limited in their appointment? And basically what we're talking about is mandatory retirement and also term limitations. As far as educational background, which I thought was very interesting, the United States Constitution doesn't require that federal judges have any particular educational background. In fact, it's fairly easy to become a justice. All that needs to be done is to be nominated by the president and confirmed by the Senate. But once again, the cases are very complex, and there's very complex questions of law. So there's a de facto prerequisite to the appointment of the Supreme Court. And as of 2009, every person who has been nominated to the court has been an attorney. Now, the first justice to be appointed who had attended law school was Justice Levi Woodbury, who was appointed in 1846. And Woodbury attended Tapping Reeve Law School in the United States, but he didn't graduate from the law school. I thought that was interesting. And then in 1851, Benjamin Robbins Curtis was the first justice to be appointed with a law degree from Harvard Law School that he earned in 1832. So out of the 111 justices appointed to the court, 46 have had law degrees. An additional 18 attended some law school but did not receive a degree, and 47 received their education without any law school attendance. So all of the justices except one on the current court, which is kind of interesting when it comes to the education, are from Ivy League schools. And so issue has surfaced that maybe we should have more justices serving on the court from other law schools, such as Stanford and, generally other accredited law schools rather than the Ivy League law schools. As far as professional background, once again, all justices have been attorneys, and these attorneys that have served on the court have, particularly now, has had significant federal experience. And the only justice on this current court, this is Justice Souter, had state experience before becoming a federal judge. So there's some issues on that the nomination appointment justice should have more diverse background other than just the federal area. As far as economics are concerned, most Supreme Court justices come from upper middle wealthy class. And the exceptions are Justice Thomas and also Justice Sotomayor, and they are regarded as coming from a lower class background. But today, most of the justices on the Supreme Court are rich or come from very wealthy backgrounds. Now, as you can see, there's certainly been a lot of significant changes since the 20th and 21st century with the demographics and composition of the court. So with that, I will conclude. Thank you very much. And I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Johnny. I guess you were playing center for the faculty, and that may explain. Thank you very much. That was a good presentation. One of the things that you mentioned I find of interest is that the great majority of the Supreme Court justices now serving are Catholic. I remember when John F. Kennedy was running for the presidency, and his Catholicism was a major issue, and he had to make a speech in front of the entire country to assure the citizens that the Vatican would not be calling the shots. And now, which is an indication of our progress, we don't think about those things. We're not worried about those things. We look for the best, hopefully, the most qualified individual, and don't hold religion or race as a barrier. Dr. Deaton, I believe you are next.
Thank you, and not totally by coincidence, my classes at American Government have been studying the Constitution for the last week or so. Some of them are here, I think. I want to talk this morning for a few minutes about this concept of judicial review and go into it a little more depth than just the idea that the Supreme Court can declare an act of Congress or the President unconstitutional. It also includes the states, too, by the way. All of the 50 states, their laws have to be in conformity with the Constitution.